Welcome to Carol and Gary's See America Tour.
Hello again, everyone. Carol, Jasper, and I are now in the Hocking Hills area of Ohio. Hocking Hills is a deeply dissected area of the Allegheny Plateau in Ohio that contains cliffs, gorges, rock shelters, and waterfalls. Although you will see that the amount of water flowing at this time of the year is negligible. Hocking Hills is made up of Old Man's Cave, Cedar Falls, Ash Cave, Conkle's Hollow, Rock House, and Cantwell Cliffs. Our first stop was at the Hocking Hills State Park Visitor Center, but we soon found out when we arrived that due to the coronavirus, the visitor center was closed. But maps of the hiking trails were laid out for the taking. Since the trail to Old Man's Cave started at the visitor center, we decided to start there. Old Man's Cave is the most popular hiking trail in Hocking Hills, and with it being Saturday and a nice day, you do the math. There were a lot of visitors on the trails to Old Man's Cave. The trail is approximately 1.2 miles long, with an upper falls, the Old Man's Cave, and a lower falls. Trails are set up so that every trail is one way, with a fixed route. We missed the turnoff for the Old Man's Cave, and we wanted to see the upper falls, so we circled around again to see the upper falls, then stopped at the Old Man's Cave. Old Man's Cave derives its name from a hermit named Richard Rowe, who lived in the large recessed cave of the gorge in the early 1800s. There was so much to see in the gorge. Every place we looked as we walked along, there was something new to see. Sadly, this is the water dropping from the lower falls the day we were there. This is a bridge that Carol and I would cross later to get to the upper falls. When we finally got to Old Man's Cave, we found that it wasn't a cave at all, but rather an area recessed into a cliff above. The recess measures 200 feet long and 50 feet high. It extends back into the cliff 75 feet. It is possible to walk from the Old Man's Cave trail to a trail that leads you to Cedar Bluff and then on to Ash Cave, but that trail is 6 miles one way, and then you have to walk back another 6 miles. If you've been following our channel for a while, you know that Carol and I are not hikers. So we decided to visit each attraction separately. Cedar Falls is a 1/2 mile, one-way loop trail, but because the second half of the trail contains a moderate amount of stairs, many people were returning the way they had walked in. Cedar Falls has one of the largest waterfalls in the Hocking Hills region, but again, volume is down this time of year. Other than that, much of Cedar Falls was like Old Man's Cave. The third attraction that we saw was Ash Cave. The trail to Ash Cave is wheelchair accessible if you follow the Gorge Trail. It is approximately a 1/4 mile walk. The Rim Trail is a 1/2 mile trail. Carol and I followed the Gorge Trail to the cave, then took a very steep set of steps to the Rim Trail for the walk back. Ash Cave is the largest recessed cave in Ohio, measuring 700 feet from end to end, 100 feet deep from the rear of the cave to the front, and a rim rising 90 feet high. The cave was formed like others in this region. The middle layer of the Black Hand sandstone has been weathered or eroded, while the more resistant upper and lower zones have remained intact. Ash Cave is named after the huge pile of ashes found under the shelter by early settlers. The largest pile was recorded as being 100 feet long, 30 feet wide, and 3 feet deep. The source of the ashes is unknown, but it is believed to be from Indian campfires built up over hundreds of years. A test excavation of the ashes in 1877 revealed sticks, arrows, stalks of coarse grasses, animal bones in great variety, bits of pottery, flint, and corn cobs. The recessed shelter also served as a workshop for Indians where maidens ground corn and prepared meals, and where braves fashioned arrows and spear points and skinned and dressed game. The fourth attraction that we visited was called Cantwell Cliffs. Cantwell Cliffs is located in the northern reaches of Hocking Hills, 17 miles north of Old Man's Cave. Its remote location discourages visitation, but those who travel the extra distance are not disappointed. It is supposed to be the most picturesque area of Hocking Hills. The trail winds its way through narrow passages caused by large slump blocks that have fallen away from the main cliff. The narrowest passage has been sarcastically named Fat Woman's Squeeze. We didn't think we were going to have time, but on our last day before leaving Hocking Hills, we were able to squeeze in a trip to the Rock House, and because it was going to be a short walk, decided to take Jasper with us. Rock House is a 200-foot-long cavern eroded out of the middle zone of black hand sandstone. The resistant upper zone forms the roof, and the lower zone formed the floor. Water leaking through a horizontal joint running parallel to the cliff face caused the hollowing of the corridor. The ceiling is 25 feet high, and the main corridor is 20 to 30 feet wide. A joint or crack is visible in the ceiling of the rock house, and a small series of joints run at right angles to the main joint. Enlargement of this series of joints has formed 7 window-like openings in the rock house. As one might imagine, the rock house was used for shelter by past visitors. Small recesses in the rear wall of the rock house served as baking ovens for the Native Americans using the cave. By building a fire in the small recesses, the rock became heated on all sides, and food could be baked in this crude manner. Further evidence of past use is the presence of chiseled-out troughs or holding tanks found on the stone floor. When rainfall was abundant, springs of water permeated through the porous sandstone and flowed into these troughs fashioned by man, and when full continued across the floor and out the windows. In this way, residents were able to maintain a small water supply in the rock house. According to local folklore, other not-so-welcome visitors frequented the rock house. Robbers, horse thieves, murderers, and even bootleggers earned Rock House its reputation as Robbers' Roost. This completes our 24-day tour of Ohio. We will be leaving for West Virginia tomorrow. Ohio is the 34th state that Carol and I have visited together. If you like this video but have not yet subscribed, please do so to be notified of future videos, and as always, feel free to share with your friends. Thanks for watching.